Stay ready is the mentality birthed through the trials and triumphs of life as an NFL long snapper. Join me in conversations with teammates, mentors, friends, and family who helped me realize that stay ready is so much more. A deeply rooted principle of life in all things faith, family, and football. Dustin Hopkins, man, thank you so much for joining the Stay Ready podcast and coming over. First off, welcome to Nashville, dude. Does it feel like home yet? I mean,
it's getting there, man. It's getting there. Oh my goodness.
So I didn't want you to bring your hat over because you'd probably one up me, and obviously
No, I don't have the swag.
The brim needs to get straightened out. I need to take it back over to the shop that I bought from.
Up.
Yeah, get it shaped up for. This is for the Garth show, dude.
That's right.
We're going to Garth.
Let's go.
We're going to go see G in like 2 weeks. So that's my first hat. Did not think I was going to spend as much money on a hat as I did, but it turned out nice, man.
Dude, nice hats.
Yeah.
The quality things, they cost a little bit, man.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to have that for a while, but wanted to show that off to you because
it's beautiful, man.
I'm wearing to the Garth show, going with you.
I get a little preview, and now I'm going to see it in action.
And this is going to be like, I'm going to debut it at Garth, you know?
But now everybody's going to know who you are.
But I wasn't going to wear it if Dustin Hopkins didn't approve, so.
Oh, it's approved, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, you got more style than I do anyway.
That's not true. Hey, man, so how's Nashville, man? So you moved here last year in, what, May or June?
Something, man, in my memory.
It's a blur, right?
Yeah, but a little less than a year ago.
Yeah, but in the midst of that transition, obviously you're with the the Washington football team.
Oh, easy.
And so you're out in, what, the Arlington area at the time, or in that?
Ashburn,
okay.
Yeah. Virginia.
And and you guys are making the commitment to moving to Nashville. So Gabby and Wake are out here. You're at OTAs or whatnot, and then you come here briefly right before training camp.
Right. I get a little taste in Nashville, but
you
know, at that point you're just settling in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't get to really experience Nashville for what it is.
Yeah.
Shoot, and I'm still trying to grow in that area, trying to experience the city. You've helped me a lot in that way.
Well, we're kind of like neighbors now, so it's great. Love having you here, but you have some good friends. You got, the East family here.
Yep.
You played with Will Compton, so you're familiar with him.
Congrats to them.
New baby girl. Love it.
That's right.
And no free shout outs to Will though. But anyway, I mean, have you taken the pictures with the wings, down the gulch? Have you gone to Broadway? Have you gone to I don't know, the Ryman or anything like that?
I want to go to the Ryman bad, man.
Yeah.
I think we did the wings.
Did you? You have to.
In that little window that I was here before the season started.
Okay. All right. So you got that checked off the list.
Yeah. I got that. We got, and I'm hoping to check a lot of things off the list.
Yeah.
With my friend here.
Yeah.
With you.
We have.
Matt. Oh, we did hockey. That was my first hockey game here in town.
Game. Yeah.
Not ever, but here in town with you.
With Cole and Joe.
Yep.
Those are musts. We're going to Garth at Nissan, which is going to be incredible. So last year he came to town, and it got delayed because of weather.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
So it was a complete disaster. Obviously, everyone there was just pissed off that the one night there was thunder and lightning. It was at the Garth show.
Golly.
And outdoor, and it was just a mess. Long story short, they didn't think he was coming back. So, because he didn't announce another date after they canceled it. And there was people. I mean, I'm not kidding you. When I went, and have you seen Garth?
Garth was my very first concert.
Oh, so this is sentimental. That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
I have not seen Garth in his own element. I've seen him perform like little, one-offs, at like charity events, but I haven't seen his actual show. My wife Bree's been to, I don't know, probably a half dozen. But I was super excited to be there. I mean, I'm not the biggest Garth fan, but of course he's an icon within country music, right? No,
dude,
I love him.
I love Garth.
Yeah. But I didn't grow up on
him. Okay.
Like
I got you.
A lot of people have, So country wasn't really introduced into my life until probably high school or college.
Okay.
And at that time, that was Tim McGraw.
Late adopter.
Yeah. Yes. So I Brooks and Dunn really reeled me in, probably, and Kenny Chesney and Tim McGraw is kind of what pulled me in.
I guess they're all okay.
And then FGL came along, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sold. Let's go."
That's what really did it for you.
Yeah. So
at Florida State guy, actually, did you know that?
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. Baseball player. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's a pitcher, I think.
There you go.
But anyway, when they came out to announce that the show was canceled, there was people like crying in their seats because this is probably the only time they got
the
to
chance.
Come see him.
Yeah,
and people traveled from all over because he doesn't go. It's not like he's in Nashville one night, then Knoxville, then Louisville or anything. That's like maybe 10 destinations when he does these tours, and they're all mega shows. So he's back this year, and we're going together.
I'm excited, man.
I wouldn't want to go with anyone else, so I just want to let you know that.
Man.
But I'm glad you're here in Nashville. Glad you and Gabby and Wake are here. Really, how we met. I mean, we met previously at a small camp.
I remember you from Cole's Kicking.
Yeah.
And I think you were the only guy there, which I respected, because I'm kind of this way. Maybe not to the same extent you are, but kind of. I like to practice what I'm playing in. And I think you were wearing your helmet.
I was wearing my shoulder pads.
And shoulder pads, and nobody else was doing that. And I thought, at least for me, here, let me backtrack. For me, I think an aspect of, I don't say manhood or womanhood or whatever you want to call it, being comfortable in your own skin and not caring what, anybody else thinks of you.
Yeah.
To the extent that you want to be kind to people, but I'm talking about, hey, if I'm going to be myself, I don't care what people are going to say about me.
Yeah.
And I always respect that about people that do that. And you're one of those guys I was like, he's doing his thing, doesn't
Everyone's
care.
in shirts and shorts, and I'm out there in full, just padded.
Dude, ready, trying to get right, man.
Well, the thing was, so for people don't know, Jamie Cole hosts these camps, and this was with the NFL weekend where everybody kind of gets together. Right. We went to Wisconsin Whitewater.
Whitewater, Wisconsin. Yep, that's right.
Small little D3 school, but
powerhouse.
Powerhouse though, big stadium, like really cool, a lot of national championships. But it was like 2 or 3 weeks before training camp, so everybody gets together. And you were out there, Thomas Morstead. I don't know,
Nick was out there. Yeah,
Nick was snapping, but I don't think Tress was there.
He might have been. He's been up there before, but I can't remember if it was this particular year.
I remember Morstead and Zach Wood was there from the Saints. But anyway, I was the only one that was like technically like a free agent, so I didn't come with my teammates because I wasn't on the team. And I think this is when I was just coming off of shoulder surgery. So, dude, I came with the shoulder pads and helmet because I'm like,
you prove to people that you can
do it, get some good film, work with you guys. But I knew, for me being through the free agent circuit, like training camp now, there's no shirts and shorts when you get to training camp. It's like you're either in shells or half pads and or full pads for that matter. So I wanted to be like acclimated.
Sure.
So, but that's where you and I met. Fast forward.
Dude, you gave me a ride in your truck, by the way. I don't know if you remember that. Gave me a ride.
No, I didn't drive there. I didn't drive. I flew there.
What? Well, did you rent a car?
No, it was probably either Casey Casper or.
Dude, I could have sworn it was you.
I may have driven.
Maybe you drove somebody else's truck.
Some guys were partaking in adult beverages, and I was.
Maybe you just acted like it was your truck. Just trying to big time folks.
It wasn't mine, but it was somebody's.
Okay.
Might have been Hunter Bradley's. But anyway.
Anyway.
But now fast forward 5 years?
At least probably
5 years ago.
Yeah.
We land in LA with the Chargers together. Week 7?
Yeah, 7 or 8 or.
Yeah.
All a blur, man.
Yeah. So Dustin's. What are you going in 8th or 9th year now?
Next will be 10.
This will be year 10. NFL kicker, came from Florida State. Just re-signed an extension with the Chargers, and so take me back a little bit. Let's go. You're a Florida State guy. Let's touch on kind of how you got into kicking.
Yeah.
What led you to Florida State, and then we'll talk about kind of your journey in the NFL.
Okay, kicking wise, I kicked since Pee Wee, like since whatever age you're allowed to play tackle football with pads. It's like, hey,
7 or 8.
My folks signed me up.
Yeah.
And they have kicking tryouts, and it's like, hey, who can kick a ball? And even then, I was like, hey, I can kick a ball pretty far.
Sure.
I played soccer too before that because you can play a little earlier.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'll try to be the kicker too.
Sure.
And won the Pee Wee competition, and so ever since then, I've always kicked on whatever team I was on.
Yeah.
And still.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was always secondary. It was always like I am a quarterback or a safety or a running back first, and kicking's like don't think very many people when they're younger want to be just the kicker.
I don't even remember. I mean, I started snapping in high school. I hardly remember even snapping in high school until maybe senior year when I knew that it was an opportunity, maybe waiting beyond. But yeah, to your point, I don't remember in Pee Wee. I don't remember ever kicking or punting or snapping.
We basically just we did kickoffs, and
went for it on fourth down. I don't remember.
We punted, but also we practiced an extra point a couple times, but we never really did it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think we did it in game Pee Wee.
Yeah.
And now talking to my old Pee Wee coach, he's like, dude, I think they flip it. I think in Pee Wee if you kick an extra point, it's like 2 points.
Yeah, counts more.
And so he's like, man, I do it all the time now.
Yeah.
And when I had you, I never did it. He's like, I would do it differently now.
Yeah. It's a little different now. So that was, I'm a little bit older than you, but let's just say that's 15 years ago that, you were playing Pee Wee football. It's probably more than that.
I was going to say a lot more. I graduated high school.
But just to keep it, within what I'm trying to say is I feel like special teams now is definitely more, like the positions are now more highlighted.
Yeah.
They're more, there's more opportunities now. There's these camps for kids to start going to at a very, very young age.
Right.
When I was in high school, there was nothing. I think Ray Guy was the only one.
I remember when Ray Guy camps, man.
Ray Guy and Ray Pelfrey. Was it Ray? I don't know, but Ray Guy for sure. And I went to his camp, but there wasn't really a long snapping clinic or a kicking clinic. He was obviously a punter, but there was just none of those resources. Now, like it's everywhere, and there's scholarships too for it. Whereas before, you had to play another position. So back in the day when I was starting the long snap, I knew that there was an opportunity for me to like walk on at a big school.
Right.
Because I wasn't, a 4 or 5 star positional player.
But at that point, even if you were the guy snapping, were they giving out?
No.
That's what I'm saying. There's probably no scholarships.
So
were
I
given,
graduated
right?
in 2003. You're probably in 4th grade.
Golly, dude. No, I've been 7th grade maybe?
Close enough. But there was I don't think there was many schools at all that even acknowledged the long snapping spot as dedicated.
They're like Madden.
Yeah.
They don't even have the position.
Exactly, right?
What's the deal with that, guys? We got to talk. We got to call some people.
It's been a long-going debate and argument for a long time. But yeah, man. To your point,
but you're not bitter about it.
Not at all.
No,
I just want my rating to be like above 30.
Yeah,
it's like a 27, which is out of 100 is not very good.
And you know the score and you know the score and everything. I don't follow it.
I failed math in high school, but I do think 27 out of 100 is not very good.
That's from what you recall from math. Yeah.
So go back to Pee Wee. Your kicker. You excelled at that.
Always kicked my whole life, but I always played another position, and it was always secondary. And I want to say 9th grade year, going in, playing soccer, and I tear my hamstring, and I kept on trying to get healthy. I'd rest, and I'd feel pretty good. And as soon as I went back, I feel it immediately almost.
And you're growing up in Texas, right?
Right. Yeah. Houston.
This is like football's hardcore.
Oh yeah.
Like
football's
Blues or.
Well, it's. I wouldn't say you're quite like small town Texas because it's like all they have there, but it's still like, man, you're walking the schools of your high school, you feel like, whether everybody knows or not, you feel like everybody knows what happened at the game.
Yeah.
That kind of feel.
Yeah.
And maybe that's.
But at that age, they're not taking you back to shoot you over Toradol to get you ready for the game, or are they?
Shoot. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think they were. If they did, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So, tear my hamstring, playing soccer, and I'd try to come back playing sports, and every time it was just start biting again.
Yeah.
And so I was really discouraged because it was like quite some time. It was probably a 9-month recovery total.
Sure.
By the time I kept on trying to come back, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
And that's really where I learned about soft tissue work. It was a Rosti at the time, but just like any good soft tissue, like working with your fascia and stuff, that I was like, oh, this is improved. But anyway, during that time, I guess because I didn't have to engage my hamstring to like when I was sprinting, I could kick.
Yeah.
And I guess because I was swinging through forward only, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
So I was at a point where I was like, man, if this is all I can do right now, I might as well get good at it.
And this is at what age?
I don't know, 9th grade, so maybe.
So early high school?
Maybe 15.
Your whole focus and perspective shifted, like, if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to stick to kicking?
Well, it was still like just at the moment thing. I didn't think like, this is it.
Yeah.
It was just like if this is all I can do, I've always been active. I'm not going to not be active.
Yeah.
I might as well get good at kicking because this is the only thing that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
You know. So, I'm kicking, and I start to take it more serious because it was always just like I'd do a couple practice runs just to do it, but it was never a thing.
Yeah.
I go to my first kicking camp, which was Cole's Kicking.
Okay.
So I first met them, I guess, it was either right after 8th grade or during 9th grade, somewhere in there, same time frame. And I remember I've always considered myself a decent athlete.
Yeah.
And but I knew even then I was a late bloomer too.
Yeah.
That it was like, oh, it's going to be tough to get some scholarship offers at these other positions. One, because I'm not growing.
Yeah.
And two, because it's like it's just tough.
So football was always the goal and the dream.
No, I think for a long time it was soccer.
Yeah.
I always thought maybe baseball. I always, honestly, as pompous as it's going to sound, I always thought I'd be playing professional sports.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it would just be kicking.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be either soccer, football, baseball.
Sure.
And then, so.
I mean, for me, it was like, for sure, baseball. I love baseball. The NFL dream for me started probably 10 years old. And then.
That's early.
Yeah. I mean, my grandfather was a head college football coach. My dad played ball. So, I mean, I was just like.
You're breathing it. You're breathing it.
Yeah, it was in my blood. And grew up a huge Niner fan, going to those games. So got to watch the dynasty, like the end of the dynasty, you know, the end of the Montana era, the Steve Young, Jerry Rice, all kind of stuff. But anyway, football for me was always it. But baseball definitely was up there. And then I even had a stint like the X Games.
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, I went the skateboarding phase. Yeah.
Rollerblading for me.
Oh, dude, some K2s?
Oh, yeah. K2s.
No question.
Rossies, Solomon. I mean, dude, I was I was convinced that the X Games was like
it's gonna be it for
and
you.
I went. It was when it was in San Francisco. I actually went the year that Tony Hawk did the 800 on the half pipe, but that aggressive skate, like the extreme sports, was my thing. Like even snowboarding, wakeboarding, I love doing that. But the X Games was my dream. Like 7th, 8th, 9th grade. I was at the skate park.
How did your folks feel about that?
They hated it because I broke my wrist during football season before a game.
Woo!
So I was at this. This is how addicted I was to skating. I was at the skate park 2 or 3 hours before I had to be to high school to go play. So I was skating 2 or 3 hours straight, grinding, getting my tricks in, and then I'd go to go play. Like I was skate videos, everything.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I was all about it.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No question.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the
reason I asked, my parents.
Yeah.
I remember my dad specifically, and it's probably because me picking up at that age, he's like, he's not gonna be a pro skateboarder.
Yeah.
And maybe he saw my future elsewhere, but he's like, hey, there's no future in that for you.
What about rodeo?
Oh, no, dude.
No?
So one side of my family, they're pro rodeos.
Yeah,
Shout out Aspen Miller.
Yeah.
She's awesome. But
She's a pro? Is she in your family?
So I don't know how they classify it. So because she is at Sam Houston State.
Okay.
And rodeoing there, but I think because it's not like however it's classified, I think they're allowed to go to rodeos and make money themselves.
Okay, so it's like
it's a weird
sport? It's not like an NCAA sanctioned thing or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but
yeah,
there's some weird interchange
but
of
she
that.
gets paid for what she does.
Yeah,
so
I think it's my understanding. And I don't, like I said,
that's a pro right there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, one side of my family did that, but I did not. We didn't grow up doing that. It was more like, hey, I do it on Easter. We'd go over to their house and have fun, but I was never.
That's cool.
I never saw a future for me in rodeo.
Yeah.
I probably just wasn't tough enough, you know. That's okay.
That's not true.
Hey.
Did you grow up watching the movie 8 Seconds?
No.
Oh.
No, sorry, man. Sorry.
Have you seen it?
No. Is that the romantic one, or something else?
No, it's about the bull rider that I think he breaks his back or gets paralyzed.
No, I don't know this one.
Oh,
we'll have to have a movie night.
It was the guy from 90210. Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry, the director.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Luke Perry.
There you go.
Luke
I was gonna
Perry
say,
was the
you know
bull
who Tyler.
rider.
You know who Tyler Perry is.
I know who Tyler Perry is. Not a bull rider.
Not the bull rider, Tyler Perry. Different Tyler Perry.
Luke Perry, and he was in I think 90210. But anyway, he was the bull rider, and I think he got seriously injured, but he was like the up and coming guy.
Okay.
Great movie. You and Gabby need to watch.
Need to watch it.
So
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah. So, but I think my dad didn't see a future in that. So there's no future in skating for you. He's like, same thing. What you just said happened. He's like, you're gonna break your wrist. You can't play ball, or you can't do whatever. And it's he was right. I think it's funny. I think when you're younger too, the perspective of people being like, you can be whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
I think there's an aspect of that is true.
Yeah.
But there's another aspect that it's like, as I get older, I appreciate my close friends speaking truth into my life at things that probably aren't the road I need to go down.
Yeah, I think when my parents saw me jumping off stairs, falling off rails, and doing that kind of stuff is when they're like, hey, rollerblading is not you just like rollerblading in the court. They didn't know that like the ramps and all that stuff existed. And so when I would come home with literally broken wrist, scuffed up knees, and then I think that's when they realized like, hey, this is probably not the smartest thing to do before your football games on Friday night.
I was at a birthday party once. I forget if it was mine or somebody else's. We're at a skate park though. And it was the first time I decided to try like one of those like, I want to say maybe it was a 9.5 footer or something.
Like
where
a
it's
quarter
like
pipe? Like a...
Yeah, where at least there's your initial like significant
so it's a
vertical drop in.
Yeah.
And I was like, all your boys are there. And you're like, I'm doing it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
And so I drop in, and it's like...
Can you drop it on a skateboard?
Oh, no, this is on skates.
Okay. Skateboarding is...
Yeah, that's a whole nother animal drop in, yeah. And I go down, and it's like, virtually, it's like my skates never hit the pipe. It's like I go down and just slam my face into the floor. There's blood everywhere.
Oh my gosh!
It's like,
in front of all your boys.
I'm fine. Yeah. But I was hurt.
The best was when you would jump off a ramp or something and land on your back, and wind gets knocked out of you, and you're kind of like gasping for air, and all your boys around laughing at you. That was the extent of like my childhood when it came to skating and BMXing and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I miss it, man. I still go on YouTube and watch videos of like skating and stuff because it was really, truly a passion for probably 5 years of my life.
Right.
Yeah. And during quarantine, I actually bought a pair.
Really?
Of USD's aggressive skates. I bought Bree like a little pair of K2s or something for her, like little cruising ones. And I was like up there like grinding on like tables and benches at the park and stuff.
I would love to randomly drive by and see you just grinding on a picnic bench.
Video of it. I mean, my goal I think during quarantine was I was gonna grind a handrail for the first time in like 15 years. I never got to it because football happened.
I was gonna say, but yeah, probably.
It would have been a great video to try to.
But the content would have been next level.
Yes, would have went viral. So anyway, let's go.
So I guess the whole point of backtracking that story is that injury was kind of how I started taking kicking serious. Yeah. So it was, certain situations you're like every time I tried to come back, I remember praying and being like, Lord, like, what the heck? Basically, like I just want to. Am I ever? And you have thoughts of like, and I think anybody with any injury has this feeling sometimes or thought. Yeah. Is like, am I going to feel like I felt before?
Yeah, sure.
And little did I know, like, that God was using that injury to like, steer the course for a good chunk of my life and still today. Yeah. And it's like, it's crazy to think about,
So you went to Jamie Cole's camp in high school.
Oh, that was another piece. Yeah. So that was also when I started taking kicking seriously. I was like, it's going to be a hard road to go DB, especially because I'm.
Oh, you wanted to go DB?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, like a safety.
Come on,
as I got older,
your dad should have pulled you aside.
That goes back. Hey, there's no future.
Hey, I know you wanted a skateboard and roll before, and that was a good day. I don't think DB's a good idea.
Oh man, maybe safety. Come on, I don't have to be.
Maybe
I'm built like some of the safeties on our team.
No, I know.
Maybe not quite as fast, but similar builds.
You can hit. I've seen you hit on kickoff team. Yeah.
Anyway, another reason why I started taking it serious was I was like 5'6", 120 when I was
you were tiny
15.
Still.
Yeah. I was like I said, late bloomer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I didn't know what that future would look like at a position.
Yeah.
I go to this kicking camp, and I think it was the first time I'd seen any professional kicking camp, anything.
Yeah.
And spent some time with Jamie and those guys, and they rank you when they come across guys that they want to put up there. I don't know specifically how they do it now, but we go on there to look at something, and I'm ranked like, it was top 5 in the country.
Oh, wow.
And
Your first camp.
And I had no bearing of where I would fall anywhere. So you could have told me I was like 50th. Okay.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, it was just like, I was like, whoa. So I was like, this is...
first camp, top 5 in the country as a freshman or sophomore?
It would... So for my class, not top 5 in the country.
Okay, but
for my class.
Which is still a big deal because eventually when you're
eventually
senior,
we're all
you're
seniors.
going to be the top 5.
So that was when I was like, oh, I never really considered kicking as like an avenue I wanted to go down. But I was like, if this is, if I've been given a natural talent like that, that falls into this space, it's like, it was the first time I thought about maybe this is something I pursue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how long snapping happened to me. Like, I remember it was one of those things, and it probably still happens to this day, but the coach is like, all right, after practice, if you can snap, punt, or kick, we're just going to have little tryouts,
right.
you know, and I played center my freshman year, and the coach was like, hey, Overton, you know, since you already kind of naturally hike a ball for shotgun, why don't you try long snapping too? It's just 10 more yards, you know, whatever. And
it's easy. It's just 10 more yards.
Just snap it 15 yards. Man. You have one job. It's so easy.
Yeah.
And I must have done okay because I ended up doing it. And so when I look back at that coach, like I'm forever indebted to that coach for making me do that because I would have never pursued it.
Yeah.
And then I remember, like I said, I don't even remember practicing it or even doing it in a game until probably my senior year when I knew that, okay, now this is a good thing to add to my resume for recruiting. You know, it wasn't the whole thing like, hey, I'm a long snapper, you know, I'm gonna get all this attention. But
So what do you want to be?
Linebacker, fullback, D-line kind of thing.
Okay.
And
hey, you do it all, dude.
Yeah,
whatever you need done.
Hey, I was like the Rudiger out there trying to do whatever I could. But I was, you know, wasn't very big for like D1. Sure. So like a lot of D2 schools were recruiting me. But long snapping, that's where the interest came for like D1 schools. Oh, you long snap. Oh, really? Like, let's talk about that. Like you're 6 foot 230. You're not gonna play O-line, but let's talk about your long snapping. You know, like, oh, you ran a 5'1", 40. You're not gonna be a linebacker. Let's talk about your long snapping. You know.
So did that open your eyes a little bit? You were like, oh.
For sure. So I went to junior college because there was no opportunity scholarship wise after high school, and it was probably the best decision I ever made. To play 2 years there.
Except for marrying Bree.
You're right.
Yes. Shout out Bree.
In my early years, it was a
oh, okay.
The best decision of my life.
No,
in my adult years, marrying Bree was
sorry.
No, you're right.
I knew that.
You know, she's listening.
I just wanted. She's gonna listen to this, and
you're just getting all these brownie points, dude.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So junior college is when the coaches they were like, dude, you will get a scholarship to a handful of schools, guarantee it. I don't know what it looks like, but I also got a lot of preferred walk-ons. But at the time, I was a little stubborn. Was still starting at linebacker, a little bit of DN. A Division II school came along and said, we want to offer you to play DN and linebacker. This is Western Washington where I ended up going. But we also want you to be our main long snapper. So I had some preferred walk-on opportunities at D1, but I decided to go D2 route because I was like, I want to play defense, you know? So
I'm a player.
Yeah, in hindsight, it all worked out.
Yeah,
but
amen.
It would have been cool to go to an FSU. You know, it would have been.
I'm glad it worked out for you. You went exactly where you're supposed to go. But
exactly.
And it was great.
And I love representing D2 in the league because there's not many JUCO guys either.
No,
actually, there's probably more JUCO guys in the league than D2 guys.
Because a lot of those JUCO guys transferred to a D1 school.
Yeah, and the athletes I played with at JUCO were unreal, and never made it out because of grades or getting arrested or whatever or injury.
Yeah.
So JUCO ball was awesome. Everything you watch on the Netflix series Last Chance U is it's so real. I mean, I've
only seen like 2 episodes, but I take your word for it.
It's awesome. I loved my JUCO days. But that's how I got in long snap, is just a coach made me do it. You know? And it wasn't until probably my sophomore year in junior college to really work on, I went to the Ray Guy thing and working to get a scholarship. And then, you know, when I got to Western Washington, and I snapped for Mike Kanan, who was a kicker punter.
I played against him before in the league.
Came out of Western.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, we're special teams. He
was in Tampa. That's where I played against him.
Atlanta first, then went to Tampa,
Okay.
where he ended his career. But he had his pre-draft workout on campus, and they had me snap to him for that, which was completely against NCAA rules and regulations. But because of that, because we're D2, no one's watching. There's no sanctions coming down on us at D2. But because of that, that's when the NFL scouts like, dude, keep up with this. You're pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
So 2 years later, got my shot. But so let's talk about
that. How many years you've been out at that point when you signed for Kanan?
Oh, that was going into my junior year of
college.
college.
Oh, you're still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was 2 years older than I was. So because of Mike Kanan's exposure, that ultimately helped me big time. So, love you, Mike.
Dude, have you gone over, I don't know what you've talked about already via the podcast, like a little bit of your background?
Not terribly too much, because I want you to share yours.
Okay.
No,
because there's still pieces about, I've heard some of it, but there's still pieces that I'm interested to hear too.
I know.
But we can save it. I know you want to save that.
Yeah,
we'll save it.
There's a lot to it.
Yes.
But, you have an incredible story too, man. So you ranked top 5 in your class, first camp with Jamie Cole. This is when, like, hey, man, kicking is really, this might be my thing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is an avenue I might pursue.
Yeah, so let's talk about maybe the recruiting process. So now let's skip forward to your senior year. You're obviously still highly touted. Where you're living in Houston.
In Houston.
Where did Florida State come into play?
Junior year happens, and that was the biggest year recruiting-wise for me. So get different schools. Baylor was my first offer. My sister was at Baylor cheering at that point. And so I went to, thank goodness they've improved a lot. They've put together a good program down there in Waco, but at the time they were not good.
No.
And I watched a lot of bad football down there.
Yeah.
And so I'd visit my sister, watch them, and Baylor was my first offer. But I remember in the back of my head thinking, like, I don't have to go somewhere that's like in some powerhouse school that's in the national championship every year.
Yeah.
But I do want to go somewhere that has a chance to be that.
Sure.
They don't have to be it now.
Yeah.
But the opportunity's there if things go right and the players, a lot of chips have to fall in the right place. But so fast forward, I get several other offers from different schools, and 2 of them were Florida State and Notre Dame. Oof. And ultimately I narrow it down to them.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
And well, let me backtrack. I get a letter from Florida State.
Yeah.
And hopefully you remember this. It's like all those junior day letters, or like, it might have been bigger thing a couple years after.
Those didn't come to our school back in the day.
Okay. So, but also I don't know if they did it as much then. Where part of the recruiting was like they sent out all these like this empty, call it junk mail.
Yeah.
To kids that are like,
but your name's on it. And it's stamped from Florida State.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, or whatever. But it's tons of stuff that they don't even really probably know your name.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But I get some of that stuff. But I never got any of that from Florida State. Nothing.
Okay.
So randomly I'm at my house, and a lot of those got sent to the school.
Yeah.
This one got sent to my house, and my mom hands me a letter, and she's like, "Check this out." And I look at it, and it's a Florida State one. It's got like an amazing like gold emblem stamped like Seminole
Coach
head.
Bowden's office.
And it's signed Bowden on the outside. It just says Bowden.
That's awesome.
And I looked at my parents, and I don't know. I think I could, because I figured Coach signed it.
Yeah.
I was like, who else is going to sign Bowden on the outside?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a scholarship offer. And at this point, I only had Baylor.
Yeah.
Which was, I was blessed to have Baylor.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is a scholarship offer. We open it up, and it's a scholarship offer. Florida State. I had never talked to them over the phone.
Yeah.
They had never visited my school. No, nothing. It was like, oh my gosh. And at that point, and I'm sure it still happens, schools with kickers are very like semi-shady.
Yeah.
Like they're almost embarrassed if they turn a scholarship down or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or they're trying to play guys. I'm not sure. But a lot of schools will be like, if you commit to us right now, like you have a scholarship, but we're not putting it out there publicly. It's like, what?
Or they're not waiting for you, right?
Yeah. So I knew at that point, I was like, Florida State's they're not playing any games. It's like, boom, here's an offer.
Yeah.
And it's not like a verbal, sure, there'll be one here. It's like, this is on paper, it's legit. So that was big. And then, but ultimately, fast forward, I narrowed it down to Notre Dame and Florida State. And we planned on going to Tallahassee and just like shaking Coach Bowden's hand and being like, Coach, like, appreciate the opportunity, but we had no ties there.
Yeah.
And I had nothing, I didn't know what to expect. So I went there thinking just like, hey, it'd be cool place to visit.
Yeah.
We'll thank them, and we'll probably...
And had you been to South Bend?
Not at this point.
Okay.
And I thought, we'll just shake their hand and say thank you and
Yeah.
go continue the search, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know why, in hindsight, I don't know why I thought that so much, but that's what I was, the mindset. I went there and I just fell in love with the campus, the coaching staff. They brought several professors in that just like were very kind and generous with their time. And
so they rolled the red carpet out for you a little bit. I mean, would you say?
Well, yeah, I was there with like several other recruits too.
Okay.
So it wasn't just me. But yeah, it was like a recruiting visit. Yeah. So, but it was a place that like, I don't know, like I really liked it, fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Like, and so then Notre Dame, going back to what you said where they won't wait, Notre Dame had given me they didn't call it this, but you'll know what I'm saying, a drop dead date.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, we need to know by this time.
Yeah.
So I'm praying about it. I'm trying to figure out like big decision. I could meet my wife in college, which I ended up doing.
Yeah.
But this is why I'm like taking it so serious. I'm like, where do I want to play?
Yeah.
What's best for me if football goes? Everything goes to crap for football.
Yeah.
Like, will I still enjoy being at this place and trying to figure it out? And I don't have a lot of peace about the decision.
Yeah.
So the date comes where Notre Dame said they need an answer.
Yeah.
And I call up Coach Weiss, and I was like, Coach, I'd be lying to you if I told you that I was ready to commit to you right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what are your hangups? You know, and I forget what I said exactly, but one of them I was like, man, Coach, the weather's a rough one for me as a kicker.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I can't change that. You know, and I'm like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And then I said something else, and I don't remember what it was, but I remember the conversation turning south.
Yeah.
I think you know, he's a head coach of a major program.
Sure.
And he's got this kicker in Houston.
But his tone changed probably.
Right, but he's got this kicker kid in Houston telling him that's like, I never said this, but basically like, convince me, you know?
Yeah.
And his tone changed, and I remember like the conversation going south quick.
Yeah, and that's a salty taste in your mouth.
And it ended up with like, how about you continue with your recruiting process, and we'll continue with ours. And I said, perfect, sounds good. And boom.
I mean, that's a
phone
tough
call over.
Conversation to have at like 16, 17 years old. I mean, really, that's because that's the reality of the business.
Yeah, it was like, but it was, for me, I was grateful.
There's clarity.
Exactly.
Clarity.
I was very grateful. I was like, if this is, and this is not speaking against Coach Weiss. Like, I don't know what kind of day he had. I don't know any of it, or if they had someone in the wings waiting, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it was clarity for me and eye opening. That's like, hey, that's then if this happened and transpired this way, then this is not the place for me.
Yeah.
So, I had a lot more clarity about going to Florida State, and I think my heart was already there.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it was ultimately like, you get a degree from Notre Dame. It's like in life, you know, it's a golden ticket.
Yeah.
But
and growing up for me, Notre Dame was like,
dude, Rudy.
No,
like,
I mean, yeah, the movie Rudy, obviously one of the
best
movies of all time. But playing for that program is like prestigious. It's an honor.
Absolutely.
I mean, the history is there. It's like playing for the Packers or the Bears in the NFL.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, that's a good comparison.
That's
you
know,
good.
And so the weather for sure would be a factor.
And I visited. Their grass was like super long to just slow other teams down. I was like, that's a tough place to kick, man.
It probably had no indoor facility at the time.
I don't remember.
You know, no, but it all worked out, right? And you got that clarity, and that's pretty cool because you prayed on it, and that's just kind of how God revealed.
Dude, so that was one.
Maybe the path that He wanted you to take.
So I'm praying about it.
Yeah.
We take this visit, and we're going up to South Bend, and Northwestern had offered me too, and they were great. And
tough place to
I was interested in media communications, and they had a great department there at Northwestern. Great school, amazing school, and they've done well with their program as well. So yeah. Anyway, but I'm going, and I'm praying about it at this point, and we're going in their coach's office at Northwestern, and there's a Bobby Bowden Sportsmanship Award. Like, it was like a bust of Coach Bowden, if I remember correctly, in their coach's office.
Yeah.
And my mom, just joking around, was like, it's a sign.
Yeah.
And she was just playing.
Did he go to Northwestern?
No, I think it was just a sportsmanship award that...
Like a national award?
Yeah, that maybe one of their coaches got, or something like that, or a player, or I don't know. And so we laughed that off, and then we go to meet... we go to South Bend after that.
Yeah.
We go to meet the coaching staff there at an Applebee's or a Chili's or something right off campus or on campus. And there's this mural of like this Native American on a horse, like hunting buffalo.
Seminole.
And we were like, oh, that's kind of funny, you know, like it was another joke, like, look at that, you know. And then we're flying home, and my dad finds like a buffalo nickel with a Native American head on the back and the buffalo, and then in my head also it was like I said, a degree from Notre Dame sets you up.
Yeah.
And we're driving back from the airport. We finally get home, and we don't see a lot of Notre Dame decals in Houston.
No.
We just don't.
Yeah.
And there's a Notre Dame decal, and it's on this like jalopy of a car.
Yeah.
Like bumpers falling off, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And my mom goes, look, signed Notre Dame. And I was like, but look at the car.
Yeah.
And it's as funny as it sounds, and this is not like the decision maker.
Yeah.
But it was in my mind, and that person probably didn't even go to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just a big fan.
I'm just a big fan. But in my head, it was like, you know what? At the end of the day, like the Lord directs my steps and our success and what's going to happen in our lives. It's not, a degree is important and education is important. But ultimately, like if I'm following him and where I'm supposed to go, that'll be the right decision for me.
Proverbs 16:9, man.
Give it to me. You have it?
Man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps, man.
Amen.
It's my favorite verse, man.
Awesome.
That's
that was a
great.
long story, but
no, that's awesome, man. Because my recruiting experience was nowhere near that. I mean, I went to Western Washington on my own will and visited campus and probably had some Little Caesars pizza given to me and like maybe a food voucher for the cafeteria, and that was about it.
And you're probably like, sweet,
Yeah,
free pizza,
what?
bro. Yeah,
Free
let's go.
sweatshirt? No way.
All my hours of work and sweat.
But it all worked out. I loved Western, man. It was incredible. They don't have a football program anymore, which I'm a little salty about.
Sure.
But it's okay.
No.
So man, Florida State. Let's fast forward a little bit. We're not gonna skip over the part where you meet your wife, Gabby. All right. But I kind of want to share you and Gabby's story a little bit later for another podcast.
Okay.
Because I feel like I want to talk to you and Gabby with me and Bree.
I love that. Yeah.
So, but touch on Gabby for
I love that.
Yeah, touch on Gabby for a second, and then let's start into your NFL journey. What led you to Buffalo and Washington, and LA, and then let's bring in kind of just your faith and testimony in that.
Okay, if I get lost somewhere, put me back on track.
I'll reel you in. Let's go.
Reel me in, man.
Yeah.
You know how my
We
mind
good on
works.
time now? We're good?
Yep.
All right.
My mind. But, so meet Gabby, my freshman year. So I don't know if you had this experience the same way. There was a portion of the school year where there are no more classes. Winter break has happened, but we're still practicing for bowl games.
Yeah.
So it's like all athletes on campus.
Yeah.
Everybody else leaves and goes home.
Very similar for like summer camp, like coming on campus early for
Okay, yeah,
fall
there you
camp.
go.
Yeah.
So in the wintertime, school breaks, all the athletes are there, and a friend of mine was talking to this girl on the dance team.
Yeah.
And it's all like four of us hanging out in the house, and he's like, I'm talking to one of the girls on the dance team. Should I invite her and some of her friends over? And all of us looked around like, yeah, you should have made that call, an hour ago. What are we all doing here?
Yeah.
So they call, and Gabby was a part of that group.
And she's on the dance team, not
On the
the
dance
cheer
team.
team.
Right, that's right.
Big difference.
Yeah, she's on the dance
I
team.
learned that the hard way.
yeah, Bree set you straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's on the dance team. A lot of their friends came over, and that was the first night I met her.
Yeah.
And honestly, we didn't jive so much the first evening.
Bree and I didn't either.
Yeah. Have we talked about that? I
Yeah,
can't remember.
we touched on it a little bit, but
Yeah.
Bree did not find any attraction to me at all. She thought I was annoying, ridiculous, dumb, just a dumb jock that would hang out with her and her friends occasionally. And
boy, was she wrong.
I was persistent. Your boy was persistent, though. Just had to peel back some of the layers and get to the heart.
The core, man. Yeah.
Man.
No, but we met that way, and there's like you said, there's a longer story that we'll dive into.
Yeah.
But over the course of that, and several more group settings, hung out, and we're like, oh, this person is cool for like friendship.
Yeah.
And that grew into almost 8 years of marriage and
That's awesome.
5-year-old son.
Now, so you play out your 4 years at Florida State, obviously do pretty well. Graham Gano kicked before you.
Yeah, man, baller.
So Graham Gano has been still playing in the league at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that? I mean, Was he someone that you looked up to? And we don't have to go in a lot of detail in this, but having someone like that kind of set the tone prior to you stepping there and being the kicker. I mean, would you say that helped you out?
Oh, I loved it. That might have been one of the reasons why I committed in a roundabout way.
Okay.
Or an aspect of why I liked it.
Yeah.
A lot of these programs, like no one cares about the kicker or the punter.
Yeah.
But Florida State's had some amazing ones.
Yeah.
They've had some bad ones.
Yeah.
But they've had specific moments that have gone for them and then not gone for them at the kicking position specifically. Yeah. So I felt like them as a fan base really valued the position, oddly enough.
Yeah.
And Graham was balling out that year. He won the Groza that year
big deal.
Before I got there.
Best kicker in the nation.
I think he won the Champ Sports Bowl MVP the year before I got there.
Okay.
And he was punting and kicking at that point, I think.
Okay.
And so it was an aspect of their history and Graham being there and excelling and seeing how they rallied around him that I was like, man, that's another reason why I love this place, you know.
That's cool, man. So going into your senior year, playing well, you know, Graham kind of had a different little path. You know, he went to camp after Florida State. He and I played in the UFL together before.
That's right.
I mean, he balled out in that league. I mean, he kicked the game winner in the UFL championship in 2009. So I have yet to win a championship because of Graham Gano, because he struck a game winner as the time expired in the Las Vegas Bowl.
I thought I felt some animosity between you two when
I
saw y'all a couple weeks ago.
He probably doesn't even have the UFL championship anymore, but to me, that's
I bet he does.
Big deal. He does. But anyway, he got his shot in the NFL after that because he was a highly touted, you know, free agent at the time.
Sure.
You know, so let's speak on, you know, kind of your transition from Florida State into the NFL, how it was, and how you got into Buffalo. Buffalo's the first team, right?
That's right. Yep. So, tried. You know, the hope is that you get drafted.
Yeah.
Right. So I was fortunate and blessed enough to go get drafted, and Buffalo picked me up. I actually missed my draft call to get picked up twice.
Okay.
At the time, Seattle and Miami had worked me out, and they were showing a lot of interest. And I thought, oh, those would be the teams that I'll probably end up with.
Yeah.
And I remember they came up in the 5th round, and I remember thinking, well, when they're done, they didn't come up for quite some time, so I stopped paying attention.
Yeah.
And I think I'd like push my sister over a couch or something, and like I'm just playing around the house. We're not paying attention to the draft, and so, I think Gabby actually was there, and she was like, "Look at the TV," and I look at the TV, and it was back in the day when our caller ID would pop up on the TV.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know, I don't even know what it was, and it was I forgot what it says, but Buffalo specifically.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh. There's like, check your phone. I look at my phone, 2 missed calls. Might have been 3.
Oh, boy.
I was like, oh no. And then right after I see I missed calls, my name comes up. And they call my name. And so I call the number back real quick. And they're, hey, had a hard time getting a hold of you, whatever. Yeah. So.
Sorry, bad service.
Yeah. So, and they had never worked me out or anything. They kept it pretty close to the vest. So I was surprised.
It's crazy how that works out. I feel like the teams, for me in my career, the teams that have shown the most promise, the most interest in you, never got brought in for a workout, never signed, and it's the teams you never hear from that just like always work you out or eventually sign you. You know, it's weird how that happens, man. So you get drafted, incredible honor.
Yeah.
To Buffalo.
I remember one of my best friends got drafted there in the 1st round. E.J. Manuel, quarterback.
Yeah.
And I gave him a hard time that first day. Talked to him. I was like, "Bring your coat, man."
Yeah.
And then, boom. 2 days later,
hey man, I got another one for
that's
you.
Right. That's exactly right. But yeah, I get picked up there, and then they had Ryan Lindell there.
Okay.
And he was, I want to say, like a 14-year vet, or I think by the time he finished, probably 15.
Yeah.
And we were not like best friends.
Yeah.
But he was as cordial and generous as I feel like a guy in that situation could be, where like
took you under the wing.
A guy's drafted.
Yeah.
Well, it just he was nice. He wasn't a rude guy. He was just like.
Yeah.
You know, like we had a good working relationship. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They had us all the young guys over for their house to dinner.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
You know, like was awesome.
That's the way to do it.
But just real classy, him and his family. But they had him there, and so I was competing with him for that position. Yeah. They end up deciding to go with me.
Okay.
And
like early on after the draft, or like
this is through training camp.
Okay, so you guys were competing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, he did a high level for a long time.
Yeah.
So. We're competing. They decided to go with me.
Yep.
And that bonus day, before week 1.
Yeah.
We're about to play New England.
Okay.
And we're kicking off, and I feel like this deep thud, and it brings me to my knees right after a kickoff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I knew something not good had happened.
Yeah.
And I tore my groin.
Oh, wow.
And so I just walk in. I remember I got an earful for doing this afterwards, but I just walked to the training room because I know I can't go.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk to a coach. No, I just walked in.
Yeah.
And so then they're kind of waiting. They're like, maybe with some.
Ibuprofen.
Yeah. They're like,
okay.
maybe you can go in a handful of weeks. And so 5 weeks come, and I try to hit a ball, and I'm talking like not even warming, just barely like start to swing. It's like this ain't happening. So I ended up getting surgery.
Yeah. So you got
in Philly.
IR your first year.
So active 5 weeks. IR me right after that.
Okay.
And have groin surgery.
Okay.
And then I'm rehabbing all that season.
Yeah.
The season's about to be over. We're about to go our separate ways, everybody. Yeah. And they say to me like, hey, we want to see you kick before you leave. And I'm like, yeah, you're young and you just don't know any better. And I'm there like, man, I'm there to please.
Yeah.
Like whatever, especially you're a young guy.
Man. Oh,
yeah. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Aye, Captain, you know?
Yeah.
And so they're like, we want to see you kick before we leave. Or everybody leaves. I'm like, all right. So I go to kick and things are going okay. I know I'm not right, but I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I have like a little setback. And I don't know if it was a scar tissue release or whatever, but I have a setback. Not as bad as the first, but not good. So then I have to rehab all that off season again to get ready for training camp.
Okay.
So I'm going in that training camp my second year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it every week.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, man, every kick day or every game, you're like, is this going to be the one that I can't go anymore?
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm getting tore out shots, the whole thing. Yeah. And I remember I hadn't seen we just got married that summer, Gabby and I. I hadn't seen her in a month or however long. Yeah. She flies into Buffalo, and it was right after a game. So we had a game, day off, and then we went in the next day. So I'm hanging. We had the day off. I didn't go in, even though I was really hurting after a game. Yeah. I was like, man, I'm gonna hang with Gabby.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna lay in bed, and maybe I'll feel a lot. You'll feel better. You're just hopeful. You're just like, maybe I'll feel better tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so I wake up the next day and I'm still not feeling. I'm like, nah, this does not feel good. And as I'm walking in the building, Grim Reaper's right there to cut me. And right then I was like, why didn't I come in yesterday? Yeah. Because it's like now it just looks like you're faking an injury. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Even though it'd been an ongoing thing. Yeah. But it just looks worse. Like, well, why didn't you come in yesterday? Sure. Yeah. So they released me.
And this is right after training camp, like mid training camp, or when they release it?
No, this is maybe after the third week
of preseason.
Training, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe second or third. Okay, somewhere. Right. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. So when they start making a lot of
moves, at least to the first cut. I remember that.
And
but
was there anyone there competing with you at the time?
Dan Carpenter had come in for me the year before and done really well.
Yeah. So he was still there with you.
And so they had kept him. Right. Yeah. So I was competing, and they were saying like, hey. Because Dan, if I remember correctly, he had a really good year the year before. He's like, we still like you for a kickoff specialist, even if you don't kick field goals. Sure. So I was still just trying to make it work.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, they released me, and I remember Denver calling my agent and being like, hey, we're going to fly you and McManus in, and whoever we like, we're going to keep. Yeah. And so in my mind, I'm like, and there's a lady, Sherry Walters, I'd been working with in Dallas at the time to rehab, and she was awesome, still is awesome, but I remember thinking like, maybe if I go see Sherry, maybe I can get better. Yeah. So like I leave Gabby in Buffalo by herself.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I fly to Dallas to get some rehab done. And after working, it's like, I don't know why I'm thinking I could go because you're just hopeful.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so after working with Sherry, I'm like, this is still not going to happen.
And what year is this? 2014.
14.
Okay. So you drafted in 13.
Right.
Go on IR after week 5 and 13. So you're rehabbing this whole entire time. Get released.
Right.
August of 2014.
Right. Okay. So Denver calls. Yeah. I'm trying to get ready for this workout, and after I rehab with Sherry, I'm like, this is not going to happen. This is not going to go good. I'll either go there, get hurt worse than I already am,
or not do well,
or do well, do well. And you know how the league is, especially special teams wise. Is like coaches talk. Oh yeah. Word gets out like, man, Dustin looked terrible, or whatever. So that
or you ball out, but you know you're hurt.
Right. Or you do great, and then you get picked up and just get hurt some other team. Yeah. You're hurt.
Yeah.
2 years in a row, and nobody wants to touch you anymore.
Yeah, tough spot to be in.
So I make the decision. I'm like, I don't want to put bad looks out there because it's just like it's not a good look for your product, if you will, you know. So I call my agent. I'm like, hey, tell Denver I won't be there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not healthy. I got to get right.
Yeah.
So I rehab all of 2014 until I get healthy with 3 weeks left.
Okay.
And I call my agent. I'm like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And a week later, New Orleans calls me up. I fly down there. They try me out, and they kept me for the last 2 weeks on P Squad of 2014.
Okay.
And
who was there? Was Carney kicking there?
No, that was Shane Graham.
Oh, Shane Graham was there. Okay.
And he had like a 90% year, I want to say.
Yeah.
They decided to move on from Shane.
And you signed a futures?
I think that offseason. I signed a futures. They also signed Zach Hawker.
Okay.
I forget when he signed, but Zach was there with me for training camp.
Yeah.
We were competing for a job.
Okay.
And which Zach's my guy, by the way. The Hawkers, they're awesome.
Yeah.
They were actually here last week, hung out with them.
Oh, sweet.
Awesome.
Okay.
They stayed at the house. Anyway, competing with Zach.
Yeah.
And I thought I had done really well competing.
Yeah.
Like I was proud of what I had done.
Yeah.
And I felt good about going into cut day. Felt pretty good. You never know, but I was like, I've done what I could.
So they kept you and him up week 4 of preseason to the final 53.
Till 5 minutes left or 2 minutes left of final cuts.
Yeah.
So we haven't got a call yet, and
You're sitting good.
We're feeling pretty good. It's like, man, surely they would have
called me by now.
made the call by now.
Yeah.
And I get the call. It's like, hey, do you want to talk to Coach Payton now, or do you want to come in and talk to him in person?
Oh, okay.
And they don't say it, but it's like everybody knows the deal.
You know what that means.
Yeah. And so I'm like, well, I'd like for him to let me go in person. So I go up there, talk to him, and they let me go. And I remember thinking like, oh, like New Orleans was close to home, close to Houston, pretty much. You know, I was like, this would be a great spot, and then you're not there. It was like, that was a bummer.
Yeah.
And then Stan Kwan hits me up. He was the assistant special teams coach in New Orleans.
He passed away.
Yeah.
Correct, with the Niners. Yeah.
I just heard
passed.
that.
Yeah.
So he calls me, or maybe after they release me, he calls me. You know, you'll just talk to your coaches, a debriefing or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I might give Washington a call if I were you.
Okay.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, so we call Washington up. I guess I tell my agent. I don't know what happens behind the scenes after that, but I go in for a tryout. Ben Watson was our neighbor in New Orleans.
Awesome.
Amazing family.
So cool. Yeah.
But we made dinner plans with them.
Yeah.
Then like, hey, well, let's meet dinner. Like, I got to try out tomorrow. I think they're just getting like their Rolodex of people ready just in case somebody gets hurt.
So this is New Orleans though. Ben didn't play in Washington, right?
No, this is in New Orleans still.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm still in New Orleans right after being cut.
The night before you leave for a workout.
To go to workout.
Yeah,
and we make dinner plans, be like, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And I have the tryout, and
You stay.
I stay. But I remember being in the office, and I get a text from Gabby. The tryout happens. They keep me, and I thought, you know, they kind of like escort people in different directions. You don't know.
Yeah.
So, but you have a general idea, like, I think they left, or maybe they stayed, and I thought most people had left. And so I was like, well, that's a good sign, but they haven't told me anything, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting in the office for probably a couple hours, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I get a text from Gabby saying, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's all over Twitter.
Because it's all over Twitter. So everybody on Twitter knew before I knew I was hired.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm like, babe, I didn't know. She's like, what? And he's like, yeah, they haven't told me anything yet. So then that's what people look for me in inside information. I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
I hear about being hired after I was hired.
Speaking of Twitter, okay?
Okay.
Because I
You got a Twitter story?
Well, I posted a little thing today on Twitter to get some questions from fans about, what they would like to ask Dustin Hopkins.
Oh, a lot of feedback.
And I'm searching your name, and I'm like, I know I follow Dustin, and I know he's on there, and I just cannot find you anymore. What the heck? So I go to another post where, I think it was the one where when you signed your extension with the Chargers, I posted a little,
You did?
Yeah.
On
Congrats.
Twitter?
Yeah. And I click, it's at DeHop5 is your name.
Yeah.
And I click on your profile, and you're suspended on Twitter. I have no idea.
They hate me over there, man. No.
Maybe.
You know why? I lost. So I changed my phone.
So they suspend you because you try to log in too many times?
If Twitter gets a hold of us, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I switched my phone.
Okay.
But I had my password and login for my Twitter.
Okay.
Or username, I forget. And it would say, we're sending a verification code to this number. But the same number, I don't change my number.
Yeah.
We're going to send the verification code. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
So a new phone, same number.
Yeah.
And no code ever comes. As many times as I do it, I try to contact them.
Yeah.
Even though I've got the right username and password, I can't log into my Twitter because, and so I've just given up after, I think it's been 2 or 3 years.
Has it been hacked or something, you think?
No, I think maybe if you're not active for 2 or 3 years, they just suspend it. Or maybe because I was like, hey, I don't have access to this. Maybe they did something about it but didn't help me get in. I don't know.
I thought you said something where someone flagged you and you got your thing suspended, man.
Probably, you know me.
I mean, you
it could be,
you
man.
threw some controversial stuff out there in the Twitter sphere and pissed a lot of people off, man.
Yeah, but no, that's the story.
But you are suspended on Twitter.
I've been locked out of Twitter for years.
It wasn't like that earlier when you came to the Chargers when I started following you.
Oh,
so this is a recent suspension.
Oh, well, hopefully somebody didn't break in and say something crazy.
No, I don't think so. I think it's probably just the fact that you've been inactive.
Yeah, maybe so. No. But I'd love to get back on. But
well, yeah, the fans want to hear from you, man. You know what I'm saying? So you are suspended. It's pretty hilarious because
check out the Instagram though. I got Instagram.
IG, you're pretty strong. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not all that.
You are. But you're more active on that platform than you are Twitter.
It's amazing how active you can be if you have access.
Yeah, you're right.
Even yeah.
So Gabby finds out on Twitter. You have no idea you've been signed
until. Well, yeah, I haven't technically been signed, but yes, that they're going to make that move until Gabby texts me.
It's funny too, talking about the whole wife dynamic during this whole like free agent carousel and workouts and tryouts and all that kind of stuff. Because every time, Bree is probably the most nervous.
God bless him, dude. Yeah.
When I go for a workout, and I kid you not, she will text me or call me several times when you working out. How'd it go? Babe, I haven't even touched the field yet. I'm just like sitting around waiting because I don't think people realize like once you get to the facility,
they're like, we'll let you know.
But not only that, and not every organization is the same. But let's just say it's the organization that puts you through the gauntlet before you work out. Meaning you're going to different locations for blood work, EKG, all the physicals, and this is you wake up at 5 a.m. to do all this stuff for a 1 p.m. workout. So you're sitting around a lot in the hotel room or in the facility, and you're just kind of waiting. Like, they don't even tell you initially, like, when the workout's, it's probably going to be around 2 o'clock, you know? And so the wives are like, what's going on? And then as soon as the workout's over, and she knows it's probably over, it's like, how'd it go? What are they telling you? And like, babe, I don't know. I'm sitting here with 3 other guys. We know nothing.
Right.
So Gabby's probably a little upset that she found out via Twitter and not you first, right?
And I'm like, babe, I don't know what to tell you. I got nothing. But you know how it is. Oh, I can't speak for you. For me, when I watch somebody else kicking for like a game winner in college or pros or whatever, I'm more nervous watching another person than I am when I'm the one kicking it.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine what our wives feel when it's like, I really want the person I love to do well at this thing.
Yeah.
Which I don't find out about till for hours, and I don't know when it's going to come through. What happens, you know? So.
And hearing from Bree, and I think I've heard you and Gabby talk about this a little bit, and I would love to talk about this more in depth. But doesn't Gabby like pray before every kick and has?
Oh yeah, sure.
And she doesn't watch the kick, right?
I don't know if she watches it. I think she watched. I don't know.
But I know she kind of has her head down, praying for you.
I bet. Oh,
during the game. That's
if
awesome.
She's not praying, I got to tell her get on it.
Hey, get on your knees.
Send them.
Come on, baby.
Easy.
That was bad. You know what I meant, but send the prayers up, baby, because I'm out there trying to make.
That's right.
Yeah. But that's incredible, man, because the support that we get from our wives, and I know I'm guilty because I don't show that gratitude back to them as much as they deserve.
I know we both feel it, but we probably don't say it as often as we should.
Absolutely.
We're both very fortunate.
Yeah. Man. So hear that about Gabby when you're in Washington for this workout, it just reminisces the times of all the workouts I've had, and Bree's like, what's going on?
What's the deal?
What's the deal? And then I tell her I'm signed, and then she gets anxious because now it's like, all right, well then,
where
do
you
going? Yeah, where do we live? Oh my.
I don't know if it's the same way for you. You feel more organized than I am as an individual. Gabby is like, when it comes to logistics, she's an all-star.
Yeah.
She like makes
she's on it. Yeah.
She makes our family run.
Yeah.
And so all the brunt of that falls on her.
Yeah.
And she's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm blessed to have her for a number of reasons, but that being a strong suit of hers is I'm very fortunate, man.
That's awesome, man. God bless our wives because they're the best.
That's right, dude.
Number one cheerleader,
man.
And hold the house down when we're gone. So you sign in Washington. 2015.
And so now she's got to figure out how to get, our stuff and everything.
And she's in New Orleans.
She's in New Orleans at that point.
Okay, all right.
And that was another confusing thing about Washington was, she's like, okay, so where do y'all play? It was like Maryland.
Yeah.
It was like, are y'all in Washington D.C.? It's like, no, it's actually in Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
And so it's like all these like, where do you live? Where's the facility? Where do they play? And trying to figure out where to live.
Because it's very far, right? Logistically, like
Dude, that was one of my least favorite parts about being there.
Stadium's what, hour away?
Right, at least from by the time, stadium traffic and everything like that. It was always rough after games getting home, especially like primetime games.
Yeah.
And until 11
on the East Coast time.
That's what I'm saying. And then by the time you finish, you get home at 1 or 2. It's like, man. Yeah. But so get picked up there. Eventually she gets everything over. We start living in Washington. That's where Wake was born.
Awesome.
My son.
Little Wake. Just turned 5.
That's right.
Love that, man. So Washington 2015 all the way up to 2022.
Yeah.
Or no, 2021.
2021.
And
it's all blending together.
So you play with Nick Sundberg, played a long time as long snapper there. His entire career, pretty much, right?
I think he'd been some other places.
I think he was in Baltimore, maybe P Squad, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But playing-wise was always...
That's my understanding,
with Washington. And then...
you've been with Nick. Nick can fling it.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that
Nick
dude.
Can fling it.
I think I saw him register like a 40-mile-an-hour snap
he can wing it,
Coles.
dude.
Yeah, that dude's a beast. But Nick and I played in UFL too. So we had that.
That's right.
We had that UFL fraternity.
That connection, man.
Yeah. And coming out, I remember Nick was like, coming out of Cal, he was like the number 1 snapper. And I remember watching his film when he went out to Zonner, and this dude was just rifling bullets, dude. He was a sniper.
Spinning them.
So Nick had an incredible career. You had him as a snapper, and then was Tress your punter when you first got there, or was it somebody
Tress
else?
had gotten to Washington the year before I got there, I want to say.
Okay, so Tress Way's there. So the three of you are essentially together for the next 5 years. Well, 5 years, because you had a rookie snapper last year.
15, 16,
yeah, Cheeseman.
So 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years with Nick and Tress.
That's awesome, man.
And then, half year with...
Because a lot of people don't understand, like, the continuity that you have between punter, snapper, and kicker. Like, having the trio together for, like, more than 3 to 4 years nowadays is, like, it's really...
Yeah, it's
really
rare.
hard.
Either
your kicker gets phased out because they don't want to pay you. Your punter, kind of same thing. The snapper tends to stay the longest, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say that.
But having that trio is like I got to play with Vinatieri and McAfee for 5 years.
It's a good run.
No, it was incredible.
Yeah.
But now looking back, I was truly blessed to be a part of that unit for that long, because now I look around the league and it's constantly changing a lot.
Yeah, I feel like more so than ever has.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just perception. I don't know, but it seems that way.
Yeah, and I look at I know like Morgan Cox, Sam Cook, and Justin Tucker, they were together for like 9 or 10 years, which is...
Yeah, because I remember looking at one point, we were all three of us sitting around, and we're like, have we, like, what's the list of guys that have been together the longest?
Yeah.
And I think we were in the top, I think right behind them maybe at that
you probably
time.
were, yeah.
But but you're right, it's crazy how like fast that turnover happens now.
But it's, how important would you say it is to the success of not just the overall special teams as a unit, but the trio itself? I mean, it's pretty...
Oh, yeah, it's super
continuity.
important.
It takes a while to get everyone
it's like
kind of...
when I first came in with you.
Yeah.
It's like... But I think that's a piece, too, is having guys that at each spot being willing to be like, hey, what makes you the best at what you do?
Yeah.
What really bothers you?
Yeah.
All across the board.
Yeah.
And then trying to get on the same page with that.
Yeah.
Because at least if there's that continuity, you can figure it out.
Oh, for sure.
But when everybody's kind of doing their own thing, that's when it's like...
Or having all 3 pillars have the experience, right? Maybe they're a 3, 4, 5 year vet, and it really helps having the experience, So that's what I feel is like kind of the invaluable part of the trio in the special teams unit, is just having that, the continuity, the experience. And sure, I think personalities within the 3 play an important role to an extent. I feel I've played with guys where I don't necessarily would hang out with them off the field,
right?
But on the field we click,
it's like
and we
great
chemistry,
coworkers, and good chemistry, Good vibe.
But when you do have that off the field relationship, it just makes it even more cooler because you guys are boys. Like
when you're playing with friends, man.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
It's awesome, man. So so Washington, you go and you have really a great career in Washington. Let's talk about a little bit of the struggle, right? Because we all go through it as a professional athlete.
Sure.
You've already been through the ringer with injuries in Buffalo and doing well in New Orleans, but not getting, called when they made the final decisions. For me, I went through several cuts before finally making it. Went through some injuries, did the IR thing 1 year, which is really, really a tough, more of a mental challenge than anything. But like in the midst of it, man, like when you're struggling as a player, I know for me, there was just times where I just wanted to give up and I just wanted them to call me and be like, hey, we're cutting you today. And I felt like the world would be just lifted off my shoulders, all that pressure, all that anxiety and stress. And it's almost like I wanted it to happen. And for whatever reason, God kept it on my shoulders and just kept me, hey,
isn't that funny?
Keep going. You're going to get through it. You're going to get through it,
That you can get to that point.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, if it doesn't matter and you'd almost rather get cut, then it's like, what's it matter if you just go out there free?
Yeah.
With a freedom, because it's like, what's it matter to me now?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I had one of those moments in Indy when it was probably my 4th year. It was the year after I got my extension was when I just really struggled for whatever reason. And looking back, I think it was a lot of just my approach to preparing. Maybe I got content and really neglected the little things. Maybe I got too much in my head. But those are the moments where I reflect back on my time in Indy, where I was just like, you know what, dude, I feel I'm walking on eggshells every day in the facility because I know I'm not playing to the level I need to be playing with. I'm playing with the best kicker of all time. I'm playing at the time. McAfee was the best kicker or punter, and they're playing at a high level. And I want to be on that same level with them because I have been before, and I know, but I'm just, for whatever reason, I'm just not in that groove. And there was so much anxiety, stress, and there was just times where there was probably a span of 4 to 5 weeks during the season where I just would wake up on that Tuesday. I would just hope the GM calls me today and say they're cutting me, because I'm just like, I'm miserable. I'm not having fun. I've lost all joy in the process of the game that I love. And really, my identity was solely in football at the time too. So I knew that, like,
when that's not going well,
it feels like everything is, my relationships with my family, Bree, my girlfriend at the time, was not solid. And thank God for her, because she was really a rock in my life during that time. But I know with Washington, obviously, you got released week 6 of last season, which led you to LA.
That's right.
But what prompted that? I mean, was there things that led up to that release? And I mean, because I really don't know, and I don't know what happened. And thank God, because really, I mean, you were a blessing to my life.
You blessed me too.
You came to LA and we got to play a year together, and
that's right,
and have this relationship, man. So why don't you touch on, the maybe the highs and lows of your career in Washington?
Man, I feel like you feel the same way. I've been blessed to be in each of the places I've been at.
Absolutely.
Like, and once again, don't want to speak for you, but for me, I'm a firm believer that I'll be exactly where I need to be when I need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever path that looks like. And so, I say to say, I'm glad we were in Washington for that long.
Yeah.
And had a lot of good memories, like some really, really cool, supportive, like, members of their fan base that were like amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool. Like, the kind that you get to know over several years of, like, you see them at training camps and stuff. It's like, man, they're positive and stuff.
Well, 6 years with a franchise is a long time. In the general perspective of the lifespan of an NFL player.
Right.
Most guys bounce around for 4 or 5 years and their career's over. Some guys stay with the team for 3 years, don't re-sign, and go somewhere else. So 6 years, I mean, I was only in Indy for 5, and I felt like I was there for 10, just because of the relationships and being involved with the community. And you set your roots there, right? I had my home there and met Bree there, and So I could really, relate to the fan relationships that I had.
Yeah.
It made it that more special.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean everything's perfect. There were plenty of times with I got plenty of death threats.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
well, I feel like that's just part of it.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate part.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was glad we were there. There were times over the course of my career there. I never got to the point where I'm like quite the same mindset, I guess, where it's like I hope they cut me.
Yeah.
But there were times when I thought they could be justified in doing that.
Sure. Yeah.
And it wasn't like there was no. I can't say there was a point in time, and I was fortunate enough where football wasn't and still isn't like my identity.
Yeah.
Not that's not a big part of what we do. Like we pride ourselves on our profession,
for sure.
but it's not my identity. So I think that helps. But there are times when I know what you mean, where when you walk in the building, and maybe if you're not doing as good as you'd like to be doing,
You're looking over your shoulder all the time.
It's for me. It's like it's navigating. Like you don't want to be too happy or chipper. Like we are by nature.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, why is this guy so happy? He's sucking. You know.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to be like gloomy, and people think like, man, he's in his own head.
Yeah.
Or something like so. It's this balancing act of like acting.
Well, you're constantly under the microscope.
Yeah.
And they look at practice. There's scouts out there. The GM. They evaluate body language.
Yeah.
And they evaluate chemistry with how are you interacting with the coaches at the time. And I remember, ping pong was big in the Chargers locker room, but for us it was cornhole.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't want to do any of that when I was playing bad. Like I would I'd rather go curl up in my locker, listen to music, and just be by myself.
Because then at least it looks like you're focusing or something.
Yeah. And honestly, I couldn't wait to go out and practice and hope to have a good
great
practice.
day.
Yeah, a great day. Just to get the last game, off your mind or just kind of shake the rust off, or whatever the case may be. But for my spiritual well-being, just having a good day or a good, session in snapping, would be the world to me because I needed it so bad. But my identity was at the time football was all or nothing for me because I'd worked so hard to get to the NFL. And then when I got there, I was working even harder to stay there. And I knew that if I lose this, then, I've lost everything and I've let everyone down. I've let myself down, my family, everybody who supported me. And I'm nobody outside of this. I'm nobody outside of the jersey, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like just speaking on mindset shifts.
Yeah.
My rookie year, I remember thinking dude, they're, and little did I try to take in consideration that your rookie year, you're like the lowest paid guy in the league, or whatever,
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, hey, they're paying me a lot of money to do a really good job.
Yeah.
And it was a different shift for me playing for money from college, because in college it's like, hey man, I'm just a dude out here doing my best. You're not paying me for this.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, it was like a bigger weight of expectation of I got to do good because, not everybody gets a chance to do this and make this much money, and you take on all that, and it's not that you're not trying hard, but you're trying too hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I feel like that second time I got cut in New Orleans and picked up by Washington, it was one of the first times that I had it, and hopefully this translates well, because it's kind of a weird way to say it, but like a screw it mentality.
Yeah.
And I mean that, it's like you still care, but it's to the point of these people don't owe me.
Yeah.
There's 100 people, or a lot more than that, but there's tons of people on this team making a lot more than me.
Yeah.
Or around the league or whatever it might be. It's like it's a weird balance of wanting to be the best teammate and member of this organization you can be.
Yeah.
But also not being so in debt to them that you feel like you overextend yourself trying too hard.
Sure.
And it's a balance of these people don't owe me, and also, hey, I work with these people every day and they're awesome.
Yeah.
And it's navigating that.
Yeah.
Was a mind shift for me, in the freedom that came with that too.
Oh yeah.
Was pretty cool. Because it was you know what? Hey, I look at it this way. People be like, man, kicking's a lot of pressure, huh?
Yeah.
Or just anybody you talk to at an airport or whatever it might be. That's a tough job, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And it's man, when I think about my worst day at the office.
Yeah.
And hear me out. I want to do amazing for every city I'm playing in. I want to do amazing for LA.
Yeah.
But if I have a bad day for a game, and things go south. Worst case is, I get let go. in a city hates me.
Yeah.
Not good,
Yeah.
but okay.
Yeah.
If someone in the military or a surgeon or someone else, like, they have a bad day, someone loses their life.
Yeah.
Or something,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
I think of that all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
if it means that I'm hated in a city for a while until another generation comes up that's young enough to not remember
it's
or
all
whatever.
perspective. And my grandfather used to tell me back in the day when I was growing up, like, I can't remember exactly the term he would say, but I was so competitive. If I struck out or if I lost a game, I mean, I was crying. I was that kid that was throwing his bat. I'm crying. I'm throwing my helmet. And my grandfather would always say to me, "Hey, there's 5 million people in another country that didn't even know you played today. You know, like, they don't even know football exists."
It's taking yourself not so seriously.
That's kind of where it reminded me when you said freedom. There was so much freedom for me when I left Indy. And ever since then, it's just every step since then has been such a blessing. You know, I know I want to be with a team for multiple years to stay in one spot, but Jacksonville for a couple of years, then, you know, to Tennessee, and then to LA. Like, these little stepping stones along the later part of my career has just served as an incredible blessing or lesson, you know, and you know, that's where we cross paths too, man. So, like, it's cool to see how God, when you relinquish that control and take your hands off that steering wheel and just let him navigate your steps, man, it's pretty cool to see what happens.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
And that's why it's funny, when I got released in New Orleans,
Yeah.
there's a picture. Gabby was really upset because we'd started, like, we had some close friends on the team. Even being there a short time, some other friends we knew before that.
Yeah.
And we really thought that was where we were supposed to be at that point in time.
Yeah.
And then, boom, get let go. And I have a picture of her, like, crying. And she's really upset. And I'm laughing and smiling.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What are you doing?" I take out my phone. I'm trying to take a picture of her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "We're going to laugh at this later."
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and it goes back to we'll be exactly where we need to be when we need to be.
Exactly.
There. And so in Washington, kind of like you were sideswiped a little bit.
Yeah.
I was sideswiped in DC.
Yeah.
Not to say that there were years where, like I said, they could have been potentially justified in making a move. You know, and it was.
But you were playing well.
Yeah, I wouldn't have in my opinion, I wouldn't have a bad year. Like, were there kicks I wanted back? Sure.
Yeah,
but overall,
yeah,
it was an alright year.
Yeah.
And
but it was only 5 weeks into the season too, right? I mean, it's not like it's not even halfway through the year, you know, and you're sideswiped week 6, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know.
And so they move on. They let me go.
Yep.
And I'm trying to figure out where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
You know, I call Gabby to let her know, and she's like, "You're not messing with me, are you?" And I was like, No, I'm for real this time.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Okay, all right." So I go home, and
so you had a lot of peace with you and Gabby had a lot of peace.
Yeah,
with the decision.
Well, it's another blessing. I view it as a blessing, and I don't mean like get me out of Washington. It wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was a blessing in that when you're having a horrible year and you get released, nobody really wants to touch you.
Yeah.
But if I got released on a year that I was having a pretty good year, then it's like, man, in a lot of ways, it's a blessing that it happened then instead of some other time, because I'm most likely going to have opportunities, and that ended up happening.
Yeah.
So a couple hours later, I get or I don't know, whenever I clear
waivers,
24-hour
period, whatever,
or whatever they can legally reach out, which maybe I don't even remember when it was, but whenever that ended, LA reached out, and that's when they were like, "Hey, it was something like, would he come out for a tryout instead of just being signed?" And I was like, if they're serious about signing somebody, I'll go kick before you want to buy the product or whatever. You know, like I was like, So
which is cool for you to have that mindset, because at this point you're a 8-year veteran kicker, still kicking at a very, very high level, and most guys would be like, "No, I'm not going to kick. I mean, I'm already like, why do I need to showcase my skill?
Right.
Potentially get hurt in that workout,
right?
Or not do great. I'd rather just say, if you need a kicker, I'm your guy. Like, sign me now, right?
Right.
So that's pretty cool that you had the humility to go kick off sticks. You know,
I didn't want to do like some, like, you know, these workouts that teams aren't really signing people.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't that, then I was like, I'll do that. You know, but thank you.
Yeah.
So then get signed.
Yeah.
And get to meet you and Ty and Tristan. And, like, y'all were all super gracious and welcoming. And now We hang out all the time. We work out almost every day together.
I know, man. It's been great, man. Our time in LA was special, man. It went by way too fast, and it always does. And when we kind of we kind of knew that they were gonna move on from Tristan, just because, even Tristan knew, and we had those heart-to-heart conversations. We're on a bye week too, I think. And so we're coming off a bye, and you got released, and it was like, man, if anything, like, let's get D-Hop here, and I was kind of hoping it was, because you're a veteran guy. You and I crossed paths a couple times, and really at the time there was really just not a lot on the market either. You're going mid-season form. At the time, I think we were 4-2, so we're like,
we're rolling.
We're rolling. And so when you got signed, man, I was stoked to get you there, because just always respected you as a player, and we played each other week 1, right? So
that's right.
Yeah. But it was cool too, because it put you in a position of not only just the kicker for the Chargers, but you also had Tristan there, a young guy.
Dude, I got tons of respect for Tristan.
Oh my gosh!
It's not only his leg, but the way he handled himself as a man and as a person.
Oh yeah.
Throughout all that, because that's tough.
Yeah.
And especially for a guy like he can play for a long time.
Yeah.
He's got so much talent.
And I think that goes to show, the Chargers kept him on P squad the entire year, because of the promise that they see in him.
Yeah.
But the way, you're right. The way he carried himself through the moment, never got too down, never got too high. But he was eager to learn from you, right? And
whether him he's ready to work.
Yeah.
Whether I was there or not.
Oh yeah.
You
also kind of taking him under your wing too, and it's all. When his career is said and done, whether that's next year or 10 years on the road, I know that
or 20.
He's exactly right. I know for a fact that he's going to look back and be like, you know what, the opportunity I got to work with Dustin Hopkins was pretty special.
I hope so. But
because you served as a great mentor for him. Whether you knew it or not, and this is just me being an observer. Obviously, I'm snapping to you guys, but like just watching the way you guys interacted during kicking, and two different styles of kicking and approaches, but I think there's just a level of just fundamental practices that kickers can have that are very, very similar. That maybe the mindset was really what he needed. He needed to tap into how do you approach it, and you're pretty. I've played with some easy going kickers, and I've been with the Vinatieri's where it's very serious when they get. It's fun off the field and before kicking, but when kicking is on, it's on, and you carry yourself in that same light. You're very methodical on your approach for whether it's warming up and doing your yoga stretches behind the camera so no one can see you, right? But you're very
those big hip movements, man.
I know, man, it's important, but you are very deliberate in your approach and your pre-practice warm-up and routine, right? So I noticed that
comes from failure, though, right?
Oh yeah,
like I'm sure you experienced the same thing over the course of years through injuries and feeling good or bad, depending on what I did to warm up. It's like, or anything in life.
Yeah.
Like you learn what works and what doesn't as you go and try to figure out the best thing for you. Yeah.
But I think as NFL players or professional athletes in general, I think routine is very, very important. Like our schedule is very routine oriented, right? We're very structured time wise, when you lift, when you eat, when you do all this kind of stuff. And I think if you don't have a pre-practice or pre-game warm-up or routine that you stick to and you really buy into, it's like, what are you doing, man? I feel like I would feel lost without it. If one thing before a game, like for me, like deliberate prayer in the morning, my coffee, a little morning walk, how I get dressed, how I warm up on the field. If any of that kind of gets out of whack, not that I'm stressing, but it definitely gets to me a little bit.
See, that's where I've had to learn too, is like, what's the office quote? Are you superstitious? I'm just a little stitious.
Yeah, right.
No, but I used to get caught up in a routine, which I think is very wise to have.
Yeah.
Like I'm on board with being, like you just said, I'm routine oriented.
There's gotta be balance though.
But at the same time, it's like I can't allow myself to be so routine oriented that it becomes like I put on my left sock first.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
I'm gonna have a bad game.
Yeah.
Or I would go to places that didn't, like you play away games and they don't have tubs.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, so normally I'd use a tub to help warm up before a game or whatever. And so it's like all these over the years being like, I'm not going to make or miss whether I had 5 minutes in the tub or 10 minutes in the tub, whatever. And it's like, but finding something that works for you and your body is like, I'm on board with finding a routine, coming in at the same time. Like, it is crazy how every Tuesday's off usually, but every Wednesday for the next 18 weeks or whatever, during hopefully longer, but during the season, it's like every day is the same for that given week. It's pretty, I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, as awesome as 2021 was, you know, obviously you started the season with Washington, get released week 6 or so, come to LA. Mm-hmm. It was challenging for you and Gabby and Wake, right? Because we had cross country move. You just moved to Tennessee as well, so you're kind of in the mix of all these moving parts. The release kind of happens at a weird time where you don't have a lot of time to prepare for the transition. So you're immediately boom.
Yeah, because not even like you're on the street for 2 weeks and then we can kind of adjust.
You're like 24 hours. You're in LA.
I'm on a plane to go.
Yeah, you're wearing the Chargers logo like in no time. So you have Gabby and Wake in the midst too. You got the whole COVID thing going on. Housing in California is crazy. It's not like you just like find a nice little apartment.
I'm navigating it still now.
No, it's ridiculous. It's a whole different world. And so you have that challenge, and really, like, we don't have to go into a lot of detail, but 2021 was kind of a struggle for, like, the family dynamic for you, Gabby and Wake, right?
Yeah.
Canceled trips. She didn't get to come out during the holidays. COVID, people were testing positive. You and I tested positive, like, week, 17 of the season? Yeah. We had to hop some fences and go practice
go get some work.
Orange Coast College or whatever. But, it was an incredible year. I mean, we got to play together. We didn't make the playoffs. I felt like our rhythm and routine and the way you and Ty were working on the field was great, man. I love the operation. You got the extension this year, keeping you a Charger for the next 3 years, hopefully longer. But like, let's just when you reflect on 2021, right? Let's talk about kind of what God revealed in the moment to you, like. Through the release, through the family dynamic, not having Gabby there all the time, not having Wake there all the time, going to a new team, trying to find your way through the LA locker room. What do you think God revealed, man?
I don't know if he revealed it, but it's just like a continued solidification, and that happens often in my mind, at least.
Yeah.
Of like, his goodness and generosity isn't based on whether I have a job or not.
Yeah.
Like, it's what's already been done for me in Christ. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's baseline. Like, all else goes to crap. Like, man, what the Lord has done for me and who I have in Jesus is enough, you know? But like, I'm just taken back every time that something falls well, if you will.
Yeah.
It's like just
works in your favor.
Yeah, another opportunity to meet fellow believers or just really good friends.
Yeah.
And you never know why you're going to be in a place for what reason or how long, and a lot of people maybe not. It's true, but a lot of people get in a city and they're kind of there for a while.
Yeah.
It's like people don't move as often as like I feel like we do.
Yeah.
Typically.
Yeah. And
it's so cool in our profession to form relationships that you don't know. You know, like we could be sitting 10 years from now, having a cup of coffee or whatever, and it's like none of that would happen had we not met. You know, so it's like you don't know why you end up where you end up.
Yeah.
But I'm blessed to have experienced that and to keep experiencing.
Oh, for sure.
A career there.
Yeah, and I look at my, like I said, I since 2000 so I was with the Colts 12 through 16, and then Jacksonville for like 2.5 years, then Tennessee, and then with the Chargers. My heart's desire is like, man, I want to just be with the team for more than 1 year so I can just like feel like I'm really part of the team, get some continuity.
Yes.
My family's situated better. And I was frustrated that I didn't, get to re-sign with the Chargers because I wanted to be there, wanted to be with you, man, wanted to be with Ty, wanted to be. That team is rolling right now. So much, and being in California is beautiful. I loved it there. And
you're a Californian.
Yeah, in the organization, man. It blew my when I got the call from the Chargers, I just remember not being super ecstatic because I think in my mind, in my heart, I thought if I was going to get a call from an LA team, it was going to be from the Rams because I played for Joe DeCamillis.
Yeah.
And they were kind of going through a long snapping shuffle. And I'm glad my boy Matt Orzik made it there because he's a stud. But at the time, they were a little unsure what was going on. And I thought, dang, I want to go to the Rams, man. I want to be there. That team's rolling. So I think when I got signed to the Chargers, when I got there, I didn't realize, like, dude, this team is stacked.
Well, I remember being pumped because we played y'all week 1.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, this is a good team.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit different for me because I was there before, or I had played y'all after you'd already been there, and I saw, like, a real game, like, they're good.
Number 10 at quarterback's a stud.
Yeah, he is.
Keenan Allen's pretty dang good, right? Yeah. So I mean, when I got there, I guess I didn't really understand or acknowledge, or maybe because the Chargers don't get as much love on NFL Network as most teams do. But man, when I got there and I saw Herbert throwing the ball to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Eckler out of the backfield and Derwin James and Bosa and those guys in person, like, boy, this team is special, man.
Yeah.
And I love Tom Telesco. He was with the Colts when I was there before I got the GM job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Tom
cool. And I go a long way back, and Coach Daly's a new head coach. It was awesome, man. But yeah, going into the locker room, I really didn't know what to expect. But man, I look back and I'm like, dude, that was a special year.
Yeah.
I loved it. And when I think about you, me, and Ty Long's the punter, one of the coolest things, and this is the first for me, was the three of us are all believers, and the three of us would lock arms and pray before we walk out to pregame at the tunnel. Those moments for me are like what I'll hold dear to my heart for the rest of my life. Because you know what, that relationship, we were only together, let's just call it 3 months, right? Yeah. But that will last a lifetime, so I'm forever grateful that you and I got to play together, man.
Well, I'm better off personally and professionally as a result of
and I appreciate
you and Ty,
man. And I love having you and Gabby and Wake here in Nashville. We're going to spend incredible time together, man. And I'm stoked for you going back out to LA and just, keep balling out like you were last year. Hopefully win a ring soon out there.
Be nice.
But man, the last thing I want to ask you, man, and so podcast called Stay Ready, and for me, Stay Ready just kind of generically started as like, hey man, I need to stay ready for my next opportunity because you never know when it's going to come, and you never want to feel like you've let an opportunity pass you by. And that was when I became a free agent in 2017, where that hashtag Stay Ready was like, hey, stay ready because a team's going to call. It's going to be most likely when you least expect it, and that's typically what happens.
Right.
But as I've matured in my faith and my walk with the Lord, it's really more evolved into like, hey, stay ready, like spiritually, like stay ready to serve, stay ready to stay armored up, stay ready to lead my family and be a disciple in the locker room. And it's not just about getting opportunities that you want, it's just staying ready for adversity as well.
It's like, or be prepared to share the hope you have in
100. Yeah,
Christ. Is that, that's not the verse exactly, but
yeah, but it's evolved more into kind of not what it used to be.
Sure.
And I love sharing testimony, and I appreciate you sharing a bit of yours with us. But kind of in a faith-based sense of stay ready, like what would first come to mind if I were to ask you, hey, what does stay ready mean? And we'll end with that.
Stay ready.
Yeah.
I guess one of the greatest honors that we have, and I feel like if you're a non-believer, it's going to sound weird, but to be used by God for His purposes here on earth, and to be a part of the work He's doing in His kingdom. It's like if somebody said, "Hey, what would be your greatest honor?" It'd be to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I guess, stay ready for the purposes God has called you to.
Yeah.
And you don't always know what that is or where that will be.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a stay ready with open hands to let go of what you might have thought staying ready meant.
Yeah.
And be ready to go where He calls you.
And sometimes it's to where you don't want to go.
And sometimes it's to where you don't want to go.
Yeah, man.
That's
well, thank you so much for that, and thanks for taking the time out to come on this and share your story, man. I love you, bro. I'm excited for us to continue to train. Have fun at the Garth concert, man.
Let's
go. Put my hat on.
I've been listening to CD I've had for 20 years.
Check that out.
Probably from that first.
Custom made right there from old Rustler downtown in the Gulch. Again, very, very expensive, but hey.
Quality hat you'll have for the rest of your life.
Rest of my life, man. But dude, I love you, bro.
Hey,
Thank you so much for coming, and let's have a great offseason, man.
Let's do it.
Thank you for tuning in to Stay Ready, the podcast. If you liked today's episode, please comment below, like, and subscribe to our channel. I appreciate you all. We'll see you next time, and stay ready.